Jordan's top 10 tips for how to get the most out of your phone rather than letting your phone get the most out of you. Number one is managing your notifications. I cannot stress this enough. Turn off as many notifications and badges and sounds and chimes and dings as you possibly can from any app that you don't really need the information from. For me, I get updates if somebody calls or texts or my screen time responses, and that's about it. Everything else I have to go and find. It's all still there, but rather than getting pinged to open up ESPN or go to Facebook or whatever it is, I don't have all those notifications in my way. So really, I have to hunt for the information on my phone instead of gathering all these notifications that must be responded to. Think about the apps that you truly need a heads up from, whereas most of the other apps just give you notifications to try and keep you using the app over and over again.
Number two,
I mentioned this before, is the Screen Time app on iPhone. If you're on Android, sorry, I assume you probably have the same thing and have had it forever. But Screen Time allows you to limit how much time you can spend on an app, as well as what time of day you can spend on an app. So for me, I have 15 minutes to spend on Facebook and 15 minutes to spend on any other social media app. Now, I can click, give me more time, I can put in a passcode, and I can get more time in whatever that is, 3 clicks. But just that awareness saves me so much time. I cannot tell you how often I swear I just opened Facebook for a second, and next thing I know, it's been 15 minutes. So think about that from a total use case. Also for me, I try to be in bed at 9 o'clock. I know, I'm old. I get up at 6 a.m. or before that. So for me, I have basically every app on my phone shut off at 7 p.m. I can still pull up my library app to do, or Kindle to do some reading. I can still make phone calls if need be, but everything goes away. It's still that same, 2 extra clicks to get them back open and going, but at least it lets me know that it's time to wind down and go to bed. All right, 3, organize your apps. By this, I mean putting them in folders, where you put those folders, where you use widgets, as well as what you call them. So for example, I check the weather because it's Florida and I want to know if it's 80 degrees or 95 degrees. So I have a widget for the weather app on the front of my thing. I'm also huge on living off my calendar. So I've got a widget for my calendar on my main screen. And then games and whatnot, I'll put in a folder. I'll put them on the second page. I'll call it time wasters, things like that. So you really get incentivized to get away from the apps that you don't want to spend as much time on, but spending more time on the apps that you do. So if it's a really important app or it's something you want to use more of, and we'll get to that in 2 more, don't put it in a folder. Whereas if it's an app you're trying to stay away from to some extent, put it in a folder, put it on a separate page, have to go find it. Things like that will be huge. Number 4, do not disturb mode. It's really cool that the phones will automatically do this when you're driving, which please, as a PI lawyer, do not text and drive, but also consider putting your phone in do not disturb mode for the entirety of the time that you're at the office, or certainly when you're working on focused and deep work. If you've got enough of your notifications off, this isn't really a huge deal, but maybe you do want to get notifications from all those apps on the weekends or after work, and do not disturb will be a way around that to prevent those things from bogging you down while you are truly focused on getting stuff done for your firm. Number 5, keep fun and informative apps. So like I said on number 3 about organizing them. So for me, like Duolingo is not in a folder. My Kindle and library reading apps are not in a folder. I used to have a bunch of like reference apps for different birds, different plants, whatever it was. I got rid of a lot of those because now it's just really easy to find that information on the internet or ChatGPT. But be okay keeping apps that you really want to focus on. I'm working on my Spanish, so I've got my Duolingo app. I try to play every day, so it's sitting right there. You can do the same thing with websites. If you're trying to learn something on YouTube, you can make a playlist or get some of those videos saved and then put a link to them on your main screen. So that way you don't get drawn into the rest of YouTube. You can go right to those saved videos or whatnot from there.
Number 6, syncing.
I like my phone synced to my iPad, synced to my computer. So if I'm typing up an email and I get to the office, I can finish typing it on my phone. If I'm reading a book or watching a video and I switch over to my iPad, it's at the same spot. So syncing really helps me get a ton out of my phone because I'm not leaving anything truly on it. If I forgot my phone, it would be terrible from the standpoint of I don't know where anything is, and I would have to figure out GPS without it because my car only has Apple CarPlay. But otherwise I would be fine because I can pull it up on my iPad, I can pull it up on a computer, I can pull it up in my email, all those things. But really make sure you are syncing and backing up your information so you're not losing a ton of stuff. you're not recreating the wheel, and that you have those things organized correctly. So for me, I've got a Monday meeting with all of my firm. So any of the documents that we have that are important to our firm, like our brand book, like our guidelines, like our social media SOPs, are contained in that meeting somewhere as we go through them. And then Thursdays, I do marketing for my Lawyer with a Life brand. We've got the same stuff there. So I know where everything is, and then I can access that stuff on my phone, on the iPad, on the computer, etc. Number 7, best use of your phone. One of the most underrated things of your phone, and again, I'm going iPhone here, you can have 50 contacts saved in favorites. I don't know how many you can in Android if you've got something similar, but I've got I want to say top 50. There's probably 42 people listed in it. So if a situation arises where somebody cancels on me last minute for lunch, I get an extra ticket to a Magic game, we've got an extra spot for last minute Topgolf, I've got those contacts right there. Those are my top level contacts. They're right there on my phone. It's easy to go down and see, oh, I haven't talked to so-and-so in a while. I don't have to pull up a spreadsheet. I don't have to look up contacts in my CRM. It's right there on my phone. The same thing if I come across a really good book, or I read a great article, or I hear an interesting story, I can go down that list and see, like, who do I think would be interested in this, and send it to them right there. So really think about maximizing your contacts by putting them as favorites. And then on the iPhone, it'll also let you do that by the way you want to contact them. So for example, I have calling my wife, I have calling my mother, and then I think everybody else is texting. So it's just that slight change that makes it that much easier to send people the right information. All right, number 8, Siri voice commands. I cannot stress enough how amazing this is. Just holding down the side button or saying, "Hey Siri," and then up pops your voice assistant. The other thing, in keeping with the favorites for contacts, holding down that button, "Hey Siri," every 30 days, remind me to stay in touch with so-and-so. It will set that as a recurring task on your phone, and then you'll have it there to not lose sight of that person. I know a lot of times we'll do networking meetings, we'll make a promise about, hey, when I get to my office, I'll send you this document or whatnot, and things get in the way. So before I start driving away from any meeting, if I said anything, if I promised anything, "Hey Siri, remind me when I get home, when I get back to my office in a couple hours, whatever it is, to reach back out to so-and-so, to send them this, to follow up and make sure they got back safely," whatever it is. Super easy way to get it done. Similar to that, but slightly different. Number 9, text replacement. So again, I'm going iPhone here. I'm sure Android has the same thing, but in text replacement, you can put in a specific series of numbers, digits, letters, whatever it is, that will then spit out a much longer text. So for me, if I type in EML, up comes my email address. If I type in ADDR, up comes my address. Things like that you're entering over and over again become really easy when you can do those text replacements. And you could go crazy with this. For example, you can take your top 10 referral sources and say, hashtag refer Jordan, and up will come, "Hey, I wanted to connect you with my friend Jordan Ostroff. He runs a PI firm and he coaches other lawyers into how to get out of day-to-day and into more of a CEO type role. I think he'd be the great person for you to talk to for this. Here's his contact information." Anything that you find yourself sending over and over again, think about making a text replacement. And please, 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 don't make it too complicated, because if you forget what the text replacement is, you're never going to do it. So that's why for me, like work phone, email address, hashtag refer, stuff like that will come up over and over again really easily and save you a ton of time. You can also use different apps to have the same feature on your computer and whatnot, and really going from there will be super helpful. And lastly, number 10, you can actually set your phone into black and white mode. The amount of research and energy and time and money that goes into making things on your phone addictive is insane. The bright colors, the pop-ups, the sounds, the noises, the explosions, whatever it is. So one of the ways to combat that is by putting your phone into black and white mode. You can find it in your settings on an iPhone, and again, I'm sure Android has the same feature. But this, if you are really stuck on your phone, you are really invested in it, if you are really addicted, maybe that's too strong a word. I hope it's too strong a word, but if that's how you feel, consider putting your phone into black and white mode. Again, that's not something that I do, but I know a ton of people that have seen immense success with it. And then the last one, this isn't really a direct 10 tip, but think about when you can just detox from your phone. So for me, when I get home at the end of the day and we were having family dinner, 5:30 to 6:30-ish, whatever it is along those lines, I want my phone away. I want it in another room. I want it in my pocket. I want it out of the way. And then same thing, if I'm at the theme parks with my kid, if we're out hiking as a family, if I'm playing disc golf. If I'm playing disc golf, I'll probably play music. But otherwise, and I've got the UDisc app. But otherwise, like, my phone's away. So try to find those times where you can detox from your phone, you know, especially while driving, especially right before sleeping, especially while you're engaged with people you care about. Like, make the phone less important. It's amazing to me. I go back to one of my favorite stories, and I wish I remembered where I heard this, was a lady goes to Queen Elizabeth's 50th birthday party, and while she's talking to the Queen about to shake her hand, her phone rings, and the Queen goes, "Oh, you should probably get that. It's somebody important," right? Like, that's the mindset that we have. Regardless of what we're doing, that phone beeping or buzzing is super important. And 99% of the time, it's not. So think about the times that are easy for you to detox from your phone, utilize these other 10 tips, and I promise you, your phone can be such an amazing tool for you to use to accomplish so many more things, to truly have a life and not be tethered to a desk if you use it correctly. Otherwise, you become tethered to it. You become at its mercy. You know, it doesn't become a tool for you to use. It becomes something for you to avoid. And I want to prevent that. So I hope these 10 tips help you, and I'll see you here in the next video.